Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. I had a call, so it kind of disconnected my video recording. So I had to do, I had to record again for this part. So it's gonna be like three parts to part three. How funny. Okay, so basically, I left off saying that slavery was one big, huge experiment, which is true. It was a huge experiment to the point where it caused not only a lot of divide within, the lab rats. I don't know if this might sound offensive, like calling us lab rats, but I'm just, calling it for what it really is, that we really are lab rats. But, basically it caused a lot of divide, a lot of trauma, and it caused chaos. It also created something else. It spread, it mixed genetics as well. It had an opportunity for these beings that's not for us, by the way, who's actually doing the experiments. The ones that I mentioned this, I said that there are those who care for us and those that don't. Those that don't, they're the one who's doing the experiment on us. And so basically, they the one that they intervened. They actually, blended in within the lab rats, and the lab rats don't know that they're lab rats, and they can't tell who's who. They just think that it's one of their own. So, mind you, the slave owners, the people who participated in the slave trade, and all that, who participated in all the slavery things that happened, um, they were the control variables. The people that was the slave, which is um, the number one culture I can think about is black people that was like enslaved the most and the longest. And I know there was other groups, as far as like the Jewish people and all that, and other people throughout history. But like I'm just solely focused on the black people right now because that was just an experiment, and I feel like there's more to that as well on why they were experimented on, why they believed that black people didn't feel pain, particularly black women. I kind of have an understanding why they didn't. Yeah, that was all part of it, and that actually was a finding that they did discover. There were certain, not all black people. I told you guys, you have to have a certain genetic marker that have the ability to not feel pain. It's just all about your genetics. It's like it goes deep. So, yeah. So slavery was one big experiment. They had the ability to blend in, they had the ability to intervene, they had the ability to like watch the control variable as well as watch the non-participant variable, which is the slave. The slave is a non-participant variable. The control variable is the slave owners, the people who are participated in the slave trade. They are the control variable. And it was not just Americas that did this. It didn't start in Americas either. It started in Africa, obviously. Like I think the Arabs did it. I don't know if that's offensive, that terminology or that term. I don't mean to be offensive. This is what I know. I don't know the right term, but if you guys find offense, that's not my intention. Please correct me and teach me on the right terminology. That's it. That's it. But yeah, so they discovered a lot of things during this experiment. They also learned something else about the non-participant variable that they didn't understand before. There's something I wanted to mention about the slavery. What was this? Okay, because I mentioned certain visions that I shared on my channel that connects to the whole, that connects to this experiment. I said that when I said life is a game, and then I had a vision about the woman, the black woman in the sky, and the white male who said he has something to protect. He has a daughter, and yeah, and I said whatever the reason may have been on why slavery existed, I said it has to do with that black woman. I feel like that is significant, but not maybe how I may have initially thought it was. But it does have something to do with that. The black woman is involved in all this. I just don't know how deep, how far, and what it means. But it is the black woman. something significant about us. But yeah, keep going. Yeah, keep going. Okay, so I said I'm going to describe the experiment with you guys. What did I wrote? Oh, it fell. 1 second. Annabelle, entertain the people. Okay, so I said I keep mentioning, oh, it all depends on your bloodline. This unique individual people that has a certain genetic family tree, blah blah. I keep saying that. I said, what does that mean? I don't know this unique code or this unique genetics or a certain bloodline type that you have to evolve to a certain state to, evolve, higher or whatever. I don't know the name of it, but I created a name. And I call it the X marker. The X marker. They are the special species, the special lab rats. And look at my little rat that I do. This is the X marker. So glad you guys have that. This is the non-participant variable. The green highlight of the rat. The orange highlight is the control variable. I did not draw a lab rat from the controller. That's going to get deep, and I still need to understand that because I said it's a lot of levels to that. So that's going to be in a different video when I talk about the controller, because that's when it gets like, whoa. So right now we're just going to stick to us, the Homo sapiens, the lab rats, which is us. So the X marker, remember this rat. Remember the non-participant variable. Oh, sorry. Well, this is the control variable. Remember the control variable. Remember the non-participant variable. Okay, remember this. So I'm going to just like create a little experiment for you guys to understand what this experiment, like what type of experiment we are in. So let's go to the beginning. Okay, this is going to be like interesting how I'm going to describe this part. Okay, let's think of a maze. We all know a maze, if you guys are familiar with how scientists, test different theories and stuff like that, they oftentimes experiment on rats. So that's why I call us the lab rats, because that's like what's common when it comes to doing experimented or to test a theory, whatever. They use lab rats. Sorry, lab rats. Sorry, rats. I should say. It's kind of fucked up, but like, yeah. So imagine an experiment right now that we're conducting. And we're trying to understand this particular lab rat. This is the first lab rat that we have. We have found this lab rat, and it's like a black rat. We're gonna give this black rat a name. Let's call her. It's a her. Come on. It's like my story, so let me do it. It's a her. It's a black rat. So we're gonna call her Eve. Let's call her Eve. So this particular rat, Eve, is new. She's freshly born, don't know what's going on, don't know what reality is, don't know who she is. She just live. Okay, so this rat named Eve, this lab rat, is in this maze. The control variable, or no, the controllers or the higher beings that's more involved in her, that's conducting the experiment, is observing Eve. Eve is hungry. She feels hungry. She feels hunger. So they place Eve in this little maze, and they place cheese within this maze at a certain point within this maze. Eve is at the front entrance inside this maze. She's at the beginning stage. And she's hungry, and she's looking for food. So she's going through this maze. As she's going through this maze, she is experiencing trauma. She's experiencing obstacles that's in her way. And these obstacles is not your typical obstacles like, there's a stick in my way. No, it's just there's a lot of species there's a lot of species that they put in the maze. It's not just her that is also hungry, but this species is hungry for not cheese. His hunger, his food source is rats. And Eve, unaware of what's going on, she doesn't know who she is. All she knows is that she's hungry, and she's trying to look for food within this maze. And as she's going through the maze, she stumbled upon this other species. We're gonna call this other species X. So X, which is the other species that is also hungry, that has also been put into this maze, that his food source isn't cheese or whatnot. His food source is rats. Although he doesn't know who he is or what he is, what this maze is, all he knows that he's hungry, and he actually came across the cheese, but he didn't want the cheese. The cheese didn't satisfy him. The cheese wasn't his food source. So he bypassed the cheese and he kept on going through the maze. And that's where he saw Eve. And there's Eve, and then there's this predator, which is X. Eve is the prey, the predator is X. Eve, unbeknownst to her, didn't realize that she's in danger, even though she has a sense that something's not right. She still feels the hunger or whatnot, and she's trying to go through this maze. So what she also noticed is that within this maze, she sees the cheese right behind this predator. Her goal was to get to the cheese, or get to the food that she wants, because she's hungry. And she sees it right behind the predator. And she is hungry, she wants the cheese, but there's someone or something in her way. This something is X. The X sees Eve, and he bypassed the cheese because he didn't want the cheese. His hunger was for something else, which was for Eve. And when he saw her, he's like, hey, that's my food. So they both have a little stare down. And the people who's conducting the experiment is watching and is trying to see how this is going to play out. They planted this whole scenario. Okay? So there goes Eve, trying to figure out how to get to the cheese without getting hurt. Eve may have, is unaware of herself, don't know who she is, and she may be, ignorant as well. But she knows. She has her senses that she has. And she could tell this person, this being, does not have the good intention for her based off how it's looking at her. The way that she's looking at the cheese, he's looking at her the same way. So now she has an understanding, oh, this is not a friend, this is a foe type of thing. Even though she doesn't understand a lot of things. But her senses are telling her, her intuition is telling her something's not right, but she wants the cheese. So she has to figure out how to maneuver past this X person to get to the cheese and escape for her freedom. So this X person sees her, is trying to launch at her because that's his food. But the thing that the X person didn't realize about Eve was a special species. Although she is a non-participant variable, she has no sense of self, she's unaware, has no title, no influence, no authority, has no control, no dominance, nothing, don't know anything about this reality, of this world, but she wants the cheese. Eve, the first species of her kind, is an X marker, a special species. So as this X species, who's trying to launch at her to eat her, he didn't see this coming. She was a special species. She was an X marker. She literally bypassed this X predator, went through the cheese, and escaped the maze within 1 second. The X marker. They are the special species. She didn't know what that was. She didn't realize what just happened. But all she knew in her heart, all she wanted in her mind was the cheese and her freedom. At the same time, because she was hungry and she wanted to escape. And she achieved that by setting her intentions on the goal, which is the cheese, and setting her intentions to move, like to escape, to have her freedom. That's what she knew she wanted. And not knowing who she was, she only relied on her senses, which is, touch, smell, hearing, feeling, intuition type of stuff. She only has senses. Even though she didn't know what the senses mean, she just felt it. She knew something wasn't right. She was able to maneuver and bypass this X species to get to the cheese and escape because of her special genetics. She's an X marker. This X species, this predator, didn't know what just happened. One minute she was there, one minute she wasn't. And he looked behind him. The cheese is gone, and Eve is gone. What the heck just happened? And the people that's conducting the experiment sees this, and they smirked. So that's the little analogy that I have for an experiment when it comes to the people who have special X marker. But I'm going to start from the beginning of, regular human beings who don't have the X marker. But I wanted to share with you guys this specific experiment. So hopefully you guys, it wasn't confusing, but it was basically, I was improvising this whole story, analogy, but I want you guys to have an understanding what I mean on how significant these type of beings are, these type of lab rats we really are. Because there are special ones who have certain codes, and there are those who don't have that, but they are still special in their own right. They are still have the ability to evolve. So it doesn't matter if you have this code or not, you still have the ability to evolve. So I just wanted to describe that part with you guys. Next video, part 4, I'm going to start from the beginning of us as lab rats in general. The lab participant variable and the control variable. This time without the X species. Okay? So, hope you guys have an understanding of that. Like this video, comment down below, and subscribe. And see you guys next time. Bye. Sending you lots of rainbows. Lots and lots and lots of rainbows. And Annabelle says bye. She says bye. And Lucy says bye as well. And Charisma says bye. Bye.